Savage W MMA fan back with another video. Oh no, Robert Henry, I know you are not about to do a video about my homegirl, Gillian Robertson. All the shit you done said about Gillian Robertson, she ain't the champion, she ain't gonna beat Valentina. I know you not. Yeah. Shout out to No Filter MMA. I'm about to do a video about his girl, the one and only, Gillian Robertson. Now listen, okay? Just listen to me. Hear me out for a minute now. This doesn't change all of my previous opinions about the flyweight division in terms of who I think is going to be holding the title this time next year at all. But let me be fair, okay? I owe my perception of Gillian Robertson an apology, so to speak, because I didn't really look at the numbers and the situation thoroughly as I could. But there is a channel that did, and that channel name is WMMA Addict, and WMMA Addict is doing some really good stuff, and I think I'm gonna leave a link in below of the podcast where right around 24-25 minutes he starts this breakdown he does of Gillian Robertson's career in the UFC so far. So it's really good. So I recommend you check it out. So anyway, Gillian Robertson. So Gillian Robertson has had 7 fights in the UFC so far. Okay? And after 2 fights, which were fights that you won and finished, I believe she was ranked number 15. And then before her next fight, she was out of the rankings. Then I believe she lost her next fight, was out of the rankings again, won her next fight. I think that next fight took her to 3-1. That next fight took her back to the ranking of 15. Then she fought, if I remember this correct, Macy Barber. And she lost that fight. Actually got stopped by Barber in that fight. And then she went on to win her next 2 fights. She won her next 2 fights, and her last fight was against Courtney Casey, who she stopped. Gillian Robertson has 5 victories, all by way of stoppage in the UFC, which is quite impressive. Which is, honestly, I have to admit, that's kind of savage. All stoppages and all victories held up against only 2 losses. While on the other hand, Andrea KKK Lee, if you don't know why we call her that, you'll eventually figure it out. Just ask around. Andrea Lee came into the UFC and has had a record of 3-2. She won her first fight by way of decision, and then she was ranked number 13th. Before she even fought her next fight, she was ranked 12th. After winning her third fight, I believe was against De La Rosa, who was ranked beneath her, she mystically moved up Okay, you know what, guys? I think I got that wrong. I think she went from 13 to 12 to 10 in her next win. And then she beats De La Rosa and then jumps to 6. Now, mind you, De La Rosa was ranked 12th beneath Andrea Lee. How do you move up that many spots by beating somebody that's beneath you? Now, granted, I've always said that rankings in these sport entertainment situations, granted, this is not WWE, but there's a lot of bias and there's a lot of hype trains and there's a lot of biases. But even if we try to incorporate that, this is still mighty strange the way that Andrea Lee was just moving up. And by the way, she's not finishing these fucking girls. Every single win she's had in the UFC has been via decision. Keep that in mind. So then she loses her next 2 fights. She drops to 8th after the first loss. And she drops only 1 spot after that, after her most recent fight against Lauren Murphy. So, in 5 fights, Andrea Lee is ranked 9th after going 3-2 with 2 losses. Having those 2 losses come back to back consecutively and 3 wins by decision, while Gillian Robertson is 5-2 with 5 wins by way of stoppage. She's beat everybody she's faced so far. Held up against only 2 defeats. Ladies and gentlemen, get your Vaseline ready, because somebody's getting fucked by the UFC. And you know, the thing that's crazy about it is, you know, how could you explain this? I mean, what's wrong with Gillian Robinson? Well, let's start off with perhaps the obvious. And I'm just going to go ahead and say it. It appears to me that Andrea KKK Lee seems to have a veteran blonde contract with the UFC, and for some strange reason, they want to push a southern white blonde over a redhead at flyweight who has a predominantly ground game and a completely different frame physically. Now, I want to take a second and shout out to Jason Rose for letting me do this. He had a comment that I really thought would really enrich this conversation. And he had an interesting thought that I thought that really helped explain what's going on here. So Jason Rose, in the comment section of WMMA Addict podcast, where he broke down the situation, says the explanation on Gillian Robinson is simple. Like Damian Maia, the UFC never pushed him. Now Robinson and Maia have something in common. Both are ground fighters who submit their opponents. Robinson and Maia are not diverse on the feet. They both do damage on the ground. Their groundwork is totally opposite to what Tatiana Suarez and Khabib Nurmagomedov do. Both Suarez and Nurmagomedov ground and pound, unlike Robertson and Maya, who look to pass and to get a more dominant position. The casual MMA fan, unfortunately, do not understand Robertson and Maya's game, which to them are boring. Conversely, the casual MMA fan knows what Suarez and Nurmagomedov are doing and find this exciting. In a nutshell, this is the reason Robertson is not being pushed. And he says, of course, it's his opinion, blah, 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 blah. And I get it. I get why this woman isn't being pushed by the UFC. For one, they don't want to highlight what she's truly gifted at. And that's on the ground, her ground game, her grappling, her wrestling. But when I look at Gillian Robertson, I do see a potential star. I do see somebody that should be pushed more. But what happened is she's been kind of pushed over and pushed down. And it's like they're just trying to shadow ban her from the top 10 of the division. They don't want to see her shine. Now, am I picking Gillian Robertson over Valentina? No. Hell no. But am I picking her to potentially become a top 10, maybe even a top 5 star someday? Yes, it's possible. It is possible. And the fact that all she does is finish people with wins, it's a crime that she's being treated like this. So I just want to say to No Filter MMA and all the Gillian Robertson fans out there, I apologize for not noticing her more and not giving her the credit that she is due. From here on out, I will try to pay more attention to her. And there's other things I could say, but I think I'm going to just leave it there before I mess everything up and people start calling me Gillian Robertson haters again, you know. So that's pretty much it for this video. Maybe one more thing, yeah. I don't know. What do you think, Marcus Bell? How about you, George Page? J. Rose? I mean, a lot of people, they don't really, acknowledge Gillian for her looks, but I see a nice little body right there. Anyway, let me get out of here. I'm sorry, y'all. Savage WMMA fan, I'm out.